This is the story of Cinderella. There was a girl, she was called Cinderella, who lived with her stepmother and two stepsisters. Actually, the stepsisters were younger than Cinderella. They treated her very badly, but she had a natural grace and natural kindness and beauty, so that even though they treated her badly and made her work and treated her as a servant, kept her dirty, kept her in terrible clothes, she still kept a kind of grace. And the story doesn't say, but that kind of grace made them hate her even more, of course, because they could feel her greatness. Then came an invitation to the royal ball. Oh, they are going to go. They're going to go and see royalty. Very impressive. So Cinderella worked for days and days sewing and ironing and preparing their clothes while she stayed in her terrible, shabby rags. And finally came the day when they would go to the ball, and they said to Cinderella, "Why don't you come to the ball too?" And then laughed because they all found that idea so amusing. And Cinderella was hurt by this, and she cried. They went to the ball. It was these tears that caused the fairy godmother to suddenly appear to Cinderella, because Cinderella had never cried before. By the way, her name Cinderella comes from the fact that in the evening, after the labors of the day, she would sit by or on the cinders of the fire to warm her bones and warm her body, hence Cinderella, like little cinder. Fairy godmother said, "What's wrong? Oh, I wish I could go to the royal ball." Well, I think you can. But, so first, the fairy godmother changed a pumpkin into a beautiful coach. Changed 6 mice into 6 white horses. Gray, actually. Changed a rat into the coachman. But I can't go in clothes like this. Easy. Magic wand, boom. Beautiful dress, trimmed in silver and gold. And for a final touch, glass slippers. She looked beautiful, of course. A footman helped her into the coach, and off she went to the royal ball. As she was going, fairy godmother shouted, "You must be home by midnight, because my magic ends at midnight." That's the reason. This wasn't just a test or something. Her magic ends at midnight. "I promise," said Cinderella. Off she went to the ball. When she arrived, when she entered the ballroom, everyone stared. And the prince stared too. She was so lovely. He danced with her. He danced... Of course, every dance with her, everyone admired her, and her stepsisters didn't even recognize her. That's not in the Disney version. Okay. As she was dancing, she was so happy, she couldn't believe her happiness, but she forgot the time. Suddenly she became aware of the time, and she had to run. She ran, and at midnight she had run down the stairs and out the palace, but she left behind one of her glass slippers. She had to run all the way home because already the coach, the horses, everything had changed back to its original condition. And she went back to her wearisome, not pretty terrible life. The prince, though, was in love with her. He found the glass slipper, but that's all he knew. He didn't know her name. He didn't know anything about her. Just that glass slipper. So he decided he would try to find her if he had to go house to house to find the person whose foot would fit into that slipper. And this he did. House to house to house. Finally, the last house he went to was the stepmother's and stepdaughter's and Cinderella's house. He entered. He tried the slipper on the two stepsisters, but their feet were big and, of course, didn't fit. In this story, Cinderella was sitting by the fire, the servant, and quietly said, "May I try?" Her stepsisters and stepmother laughed. Tee, how ridiculous. But the prince said, "Okay." Of course, perfect fit. Not only that, but Cinderella had kept the other slipper. She pulled it out from under her apron. She was the glorious creature with whom the prince had danced. He took her immediately with him. That same day he married her, and that's the story of Cinderella.
Cinderella. Number 1. Who did Cinderella live with? Number 2. How was Cinderella treated? Number 3. What kind of person was Cinderella? Number 4. What did they receive in the mail? Number 5. What did Cinderella have to do in the next few days? Number 6. Why did the sisters laugh at Cinderella? Number 7. Who appeared to Cinderella and why? Number 8. What was Cinderella called Cinderella? Number 9. Why was Cinderella crying? Number 10. What did the fairy godmother do? Number 11. When did Cinderella have to be home and why? Number 12. How did people at the ball react to Cinderella? Number 13. Why did Cinderella run home? Number 14. What did Cinderella leave behind as she was leaving the ball? Number 15. What did the prince decide to do and why? Number 16. What was the last house the prince went to? Number 17. How did Cinderella prove the slipper was hers?